When done properly, the internet, screens, and particularly social media can provide 5 essential elements of adolescent well-being: a sense of control over one's environment, individuation, self-expression, a connection to others, and acceptance. And then there is the abyss. Welcome to App-Propriate, a podcast designed to give you a little taste into the positives and negatives of the most popular social media apps, so that you and your most importants can make more informed, healthy, and safer choices when it comes to interacting through your screens. I'm your host, Joe Langford. Note that I said safer, not safe. Interacting through screens with other humans contains a degree of natural risk, just like real life. And I believe that education leads to empowerment, and I hope this information helps add a degree of safety, social responsibility, and good digital citizenship to your social networking and the conversations you have about it with your family. Today's episode is about Whisper. Whisper falls into the microblogging / audience-themed and secret-based app categories. Whisper is a free social networking app available for both iOS and Android devices, where users can make anonymous posts. A kind of combination of Twitter and Snapchat, Whisper is a confessional app that allows users to post messages paired with an image, which resembles a meme, which other users can then like, share, or comment on. Whisper's motto is, share secrets, express yourself, meet new people. Unlike most social networks that keep your identity and reputation on the line, anonymous apps offer a safe space for users to open up and express themselves less self-consciously. Although the app is geared toward older teens and adults, younger children are finding their way to it. In the face of the heightened emotions of adolescence, anonymous outlets give kids the freedom to share their feelings without fear of judgment. With so many other social networking apps out there pressuring them to share every aspect of their life online, problems including oversharing, self-esteem issues, and anxiety regarding likes and shares are commonplace. Whisper avoids some of those problems of sharing too much with too many people, letting users stay totally anonymous as they post their thoughts, feelings, or confessions in a social community of also anonymous confessors. Now, if you've heard me speak before, you know how I feel about anonymous apps, especially those populated by young people. Anonymity breeds problems, including vulnerability and bullying, and Whisper's no exception. There have definitely been issues on Whisper of targeted bullying and other predatory behavior, including at least one case in my home state of Washington of a minor girl having been sexually assaulted by an adult man who contacted her through the app. Predation is always a concern with kids when they begin to interact with the outside world, online and off. This isn't technically Whisper's fault, any more than it was the windowless van's fault in the 80s. And it's easy to lump Whisper in with the rest of the anonymous apps out there. I even did that for a while, but there are some things that make Whisper stand out in a more positive way. But we'll get to that. When you first fire up the Whisper app, instead of the typical account setup process that involves email addresses and passwords, Whisper provides a nickname, which you can customize, and access to the homepage, which displays account and settings icons, and a menu at the top of the screen that lets you shift between tabs labeled Nearby, Popular, Groups, and Latest, and a big plus sign at the bottom of the screen. It will also ask to use your location with a setting that can be toggled from always to only while using the app, which I recommend. The Popular tab is open by default, showing you the posts that have garnered the most attention in a display grid of its most popular daily posts, again, in the forms of short text-based messages overlaid onto images. The Latest tab is self-explanatory, and the Nearby tab displays anonymous confessions from users in your immediate area. The Groups tab on the home feed helps find relevant topics or like-minded users on the app. You can add or search for your city or school, for example, find a group based on your interests, or create one of your own. The big plus symbol allows users to post their own Whispers by pairing the text of their posts with one of Whisper's suggested photos. If you want to use a different photo, you can search for others in the app, choose one from your phone, or take one with your phone's camera. Once completed, the posts can be categorized and hashtagged and then sent, and everyone within a radius of about a mile gets a notification, and vice versa. See above Nearby tab. Whispers are divided into categories for better user experience. There's only a search feature for Whisper categories, not user profiles. That being said, other users can see and interact with your posts when viewing a Whisper. There are 3 options for interaction: Heart, which is their version of like, Reply, and Chat. Reply allows users to respond with their own Whispers, and Chat lets them contact you privately, although everyone still remains anonymous. Basically, anyone can access Whisper posts and then start private messaging the poster. Tapping the ellipsis, or the 3 dots, in the upper right-hand corner during a chat gives you a block option, which will prevent them from having any further contact with you if they're being gross or inappropriate. If a specific Whisper is offensive, you can flag them to the moderators, again by tapping the ellipsis, allowing you to explain why the post is offensive. Whisper promotes itself as a community in which users can be themselves and find support and solace, not unsolicited attacks from trolls. But how do they balance that out on a platform that's meant to be anonymous? In its privacy policy, Whisper pretty clearly states that regardless of efforts, no data transmission over the internet or other network, including any of their services, can be guaranteed to be 100% secure. Most people, let alone teens or young adults, don't exactly realize this. Anonymity and privacy are fuzzy words, and many adolescents don't take the time to pause and consider what those words actually mean in terms of their screens, and can accidentally include information in the text or image of a Whisper that could help people identify them or their location. Regardless of what apps your kid is using, it's important to remind them to be vigilant about the sub-content of their posts. The timing, the location, the sweatshirt with their school's logo in the background of a photo, and other similar clues that a predator or school-based bully could use against them. Beyond this issue of user error, Whisper also maintains a back-end surveillance system on all of its users, which also means that though the app maintains anonymity between individuals in the community, the individuals are not anonymous to Whisper. In its privacy policy in terms of service, it also indicates that Whisper collects details about users' operating systems, ISPs, and web browsers, and that information can be passed on to law enforcement if the need arises. Because Whisper assigns each new user a random 40-character identifier known only to them, which they can use to monitor for safety issues and problematic patterns. They can even tell through IP addresses if someone replies to a Whisper from within the same school, and can then screen or intervene if they have to for bullying issues. And users who post about topics such as depression, bullying, anxiety, eating disorders, LGBT issues, or self-harm can be directed to Your Voice, a companion nonprofit foundation created by Whisper. Your Voice is designed as a mental health resource. It doesn't offer any services itself, though it does provide phone numbers and links to other services and organizations, including the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Users who post Whispers with clearly identifying information such as someone's name or address are flagged as untrusted and then are unable to post. Whispers can also be banned outright and or reported to the police for more serious issues such as threats or cyberstalking. And there are a few other dynamics to be aware of regarding Whisper. 1. The content can be dark. We're discussing a confessional app where people share their rain clouds, not the rainbows. Nobody needs to anonymously post about how happy they are, what they like about themselves, or how much they feel loved by the people around them. Insecurity, depression, abuse, mistakes, and relational problems dominate the posts. The imagery can be beautiful in both sad and sexy ways, can flex between silly and poignant, and the whole experience can be sometimes resonant and sometimes dramatic. I support Whisper's 17+ age rating, but want to remind parents that once they're in middle school, you can and should have conversations with them about all the topics. 2. Similar to Snapchat, the anonymity can tempt some users into believing they can post whatever they feel like, regardless of its impact on other users, without consequence, or worrying about being identified and called out. Of course, kids need to understand and remember that nothing is 100% anonymous on the internet. But the flip side of both of those conversations involves talking to our kids about keeping their own behavior safe and smart. 3. Monitoring can be weird from a parental point of view, because Whisper is about sharing your deep stuff, the personal stuff. And for most parents, We want our kids to be able to come to us when they're feeling low, going through a rough patch, needing some external validation and support. And for most parents, if our kids are not going to come to us, we want them to have access to some sort of support. And Whisper can be that. And if we spend a lot of energy kind of digging into what they're posting on Whisper, it can sort of dismantle that. As I said earlier, I started out when Whisper dropped in 2012 with a knee-jerk negative reaction to Whisper based primarily around the anonymity issue and the potential for its use as a cyberbullying tool that grew in its early years. Though in doing this work, I really try to download and test drive these apps, working with and talking about them with the kids I work with, and I've seen a lot of amazingly positive interactions that seem to far outbalance the negatives I've heard about in this app. One particular post I saw involved a lonely queer kid who posted about being at home with his family, feeling painfully alone in the midst of a large, festive Thanksgiving celebration because being LGBT was not okay in their family. And the massive outpouring of emotion and support I was able to see that young person receive over the next few hours was so sweet and touching and absolutely beautiful in a way I have a hard time describing, but brings a tear to my eye just thinking about it. A lot of kids struggle with a lot of different issues, and working things through in real time, face-to-face with other humans is most beneficial, but not always an option. Whisper's popularity is a statement to the need some people have for reaching out to others, the benefits of doing so, and a reminder that anonymous apps aren't bad simply because they're anonymous. Based on Whisper's interface, established culture, and the due diligence they appear to put into creating a values-based supportive environment and team of moderators, Whisper's the only anonymous app that I kind of endorse for minors. Whisper should ideally be reserved for older teens who show a situational awareness around predators and privacy. It's about foreknowledge and instincts and good judgment, and if your kids don't have those things yet, then Whisper may not be the place for them. And for you adults out there, regardless of what apps your kids are using, know your kid well enough to notice when they're struggling. Work to be the kind of parents that your kids can come to, and then make sure to remind them that they can. Your kid may not automatically assume or believe they can reach out to you when they struggle with certain topics, and it never hurts to give them a remind. Thank you for listening. I'm Joe Langford. I'm a therapist, a sex and tech educator, and a dad, and I specialize in helping families navigate that intersection of adolescence, sexuality, technology, and behavior. More information about me and my work to promote healthy, positive, and safer sexual and social behavior, both online and off, can be found at my website, beheroes.net.
The advice presented in this podcast is a form of education and is intended to provide general information about common though broad topics that impact underage people. Specific circumstances and facts may make said advice unsuitable and/or other actions necessary for individuals. This podcast is meant to be an adjunct, not a replacement, for IRL experience, professional advice, and good old-fashioned common sense. In addition, much of the information included here can and most likely will change with time, culture, and the rapid development of technology. BeHeroes.net does not seek nor accept any monetary gain or financial support from any social media platform mentioned. BeHeroes.net is committed to providing quality consulting, coaching, product, speaker, and contracted therapeutic services, advocacy, and resources to clients, visitors, customers, colleagues, and fans. Appropriate is produced by BeHeroes.net.